Hey guys, Kayla Marziti here, Ruby in the business, and excited to dive in with you guys on the next steps of the networking series. You guys have been going through so many great modules of understanding to add solutions and results to your life quickly. So you guys already have so much to speak on, and I want you to be excited about that you're taking action and you're finding solutions in your life that can relate to other people. We do live in a time where people are looking for connections and resources to fill the gaps of what their life has not been able to create for them. And you are currently in a process and in a game plan to find solutions for that. So be so excited about that as we continue to lean into creating your story and having conversations, right? So today we're going to go over the 5 levels of conversations. These levels are meant to be studied and reviewed with your coaches so that they can take the scaffolding of your personal story and help you fill these, different conversations with authentic responses, right? So we're going to help you as your coaches create relatable, connected situations for people and have great conversations with people in your life and people that you meet that may be potential partners in your life, right? So listen, study, take notes, and make sure you're sitting down with your coach to go through these steps and create the best blueprint for your networking game plan. So the 3 resources I'm going to throw your way, a few books that are really amazing to read to start your process of learning how to connect with people. The first is Everyone Communicates and Few Connect by the wonderful connector John Maxwell, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and How to Start a Conversation and Make Friends. These books are going to help you connect, lead, and influence people in such a positive way, and it's going to help you start to learn how to take action, because as Francis always says, it's great to educate yourself, but if you're not taking action and applying these things, you're just spinning your wheels in the mud, right? And so as you're educating yourself, you guys are going to start taking action. It's like standing on the edge of the pool, right? You have that first time you're standing on the edge of the pool and you're about to jump in, but the water's cold and the people in the pool are telling you, hey, it's refreshing in here, come join us. And you're taking on their perspectives for the way you think and the way you see the pool. As you jump into the water, you're now in that environment. You're absorbed within the water. Maybe at first it's shocking, it's cold. You have to get used to this new environment. It's a bit uncomfortable, but now you're able to navigate the water on your own. You're able to see the perspectives yourself by taking action, form your own perspectives and understandings, and develop a skill set, right? So by taking action, you develop a skill set. And we're going to dive in today on how to navigate those conversations. As you're building lists with your coach, as you're creating your masala with your coach, you want to learn how to navigate a conversation and weave these things, weave your story into the potential conversations you're going to have, right? And so don't get hung up on any of these levels. It doesn't have to be a long 30-minute conversation. You can have a 5-minute conversation with someone and get through all of these steps. All right, so what's the first level? Initiating the conversation, right? And how do we do that? We do that by saying hello. How do we start a conversation? By having one, right? By smiling, by giving someone an authentic compliment or question, right? To open up that conversation for more. And so the best way to start learning how to do this is taking action, saying, hey, how are you? How's your day going? Making someone's day better. Just genuinely going out there every day and saying, who can I add value to today? Right? And the more people I add value to on a daily basis, the more potential I have to have fruitful conversations that can deepen further and further. And the more conversations I have, my coach can help me work through and mastermind on. And so if I take action today, it can create me fruit for tomorrow, right? And so let's start initiating those conversations. The second level is deepen, right? Taking the conversation deeper by creating an ebb and flow. And how do we create an ebb and flow? We ask questions. We're curious about someone. Now, don't get lost here. Don't stay in the level of deepening for months at a time because you're creating a friendship. over all these miscellaneous topics, right? We want to instead add value to people. And how do we add value? By talking about who has become available in our life, by talking about real life situations relating to people, asking people how they're moving through these seasons and how they're, moving forward in their lives. And so when I started connecting, I thought, how can I add value to someone? How can I separate myself from everyone else they've talked to today, right? By making them feel good and talking about real life solutions. And a big part of that, guys, is level 3, your masawa, making someone aware of who's available, not what, but who, right? And all that is talking about who you met, the results they've created, and the path they now have you on. And the results you're seeing from the new connections you have, right? So there's no script here because you're going to have different conversations with everyone, whether it's your A list, B list, C list. You're building a toolbox through your story. So you want to sit with your coach and you want to share your story with them on how you came into the business, the goals you have, the solutions you're finding, and they'll help you format it appropriately per the conversations you're in. All right, this way you can share it uniquely in a way where it's yours. All right, so talk to your coach about your story. And just know, guys, you don't have to sell anything. Don't persist, don't oversell. Again, your coach will help you with this if you're finding yourself in situations like that. But as a mindset tool, referring back to the 5 nevers, we don't want to have to convince people when we have something of high value on our hands, right? Our goal is to share conviction and clarity for people over our solutions so we can connect them to solutions and situations they relate to. And how do we do that? By, again, making them aware of who is available and discussing the results in your life that you're receiving from your new connections, right? And then level 4 is qualifying. Now, qualifying is different pertaining to what type of conversation you're having, right? And so let's say you're having a conversation with a stranger that you just met in the store, a C-list connection, and you share your story and they're like, wow, that's amazing. I wish I had connections like that. Do you think you could open up a door for me or connect me to them? When someone's that hungry and eager, it's okay in the moment to ask them why they're eager to connect. What are their goals, to see if it would even make sense to have that conversation with your coach because you value his time so much, right? And so qualifying is basically showing someone the value that you hold when it comes to your coach's time, right? And if they're going to take that time seriously, right? And so let's say you're having a really great conversation with someone, you masawa them, and it doesn't really make sense in that moment to qualify them, right? You get their number and then you follow up with them, right? The follow-up is now a reflection message. And that would sound something like, hey, I just wanted to make sure you were serious about a potential conversation. I'm specific over who I guide their way, and the value of their time is extremely important to me. Right? So you want to stay in the driver's seat. You want to truly understand the value of your coach's time by teaching someone else how to value it as well. Right? If you set the value right, they are going to sit down with appreciation. And if they're not, it's usually a lack of posture and preparation. So please talk to your coach on how to properly set expectations, how to build value, and how to qualify people dependent on the different types of conversations you're having. Right? And then level 5 is opening the door, is potentially offering our connections, seeing if someone would find value in those connections, right? So 4 and 5 are a bit interchangeable, depending on how the conversation goes. If you open a door and someone walks through really hungry, if you ask someone they'd find value potentially in a follow-up message, all of these things are to be discerned with your coach, right? And so someone knows why you're calling, someone knows why you're sitting down, and someone understands the value of what these connections mean in your life as well, right? And so if you set the right value, they can truly understand the importance of your connections and the whole goal of this business, which is the most beautiful part about it, is you can set the tone and the expectation for the person that is to come. So you want to build these skill sets and focus on advancing these conversations with your coach so you can bring the next hungry person the most value and the most clarity you possibly can, because you've been studying, because you've been taking action, because you've been diving into the different levels of conversation. It's going to allow you to open doors to incredible people and help them develop their legacy. We do not succeed unless you succeed. And in My view, it is the absolute best part about the business, the community, and about the Amway Corporation, that you can allow yourself freedom, peace of mind, and abundance, which will lead you to a massive and substantial business. We're looking forward to your journey ahead. We're looking forward to you diving in and studying the different levels of conversation and creating your network that is to come.